I'll admit, from the time it was on TV, I wasn't even aware of Scorpion's existence. Like, this Scorpion aired 4 seasons between 2014 and 2018 before it was eventually cancelled. And in all that time, it was just never a show I was familiar with. It just kind of aired right by and I never knew it was there. My introduction to it happened around 2 months ago when, towards the end of last year, I ended up seeing a video of it on social media of kind of clips from one of the episodes where they seemingly sliced open a painting and showed that it was fake. That they knew it was fake because uh, the brushstrokes were clearly made by machines. Like the small imperfections that would be done by a human hand weren't there, so therefore this wasn't the real painting. So I thought it looked interesting, so I stuck it on my wish list. Ended up receiving season 1 for Christmas and watched it through, and you know what? I really enjoyed it, and I feel that it's a good place to talk about here. So, Scorpion. What's Scorpion about? Well, you got this man named Walter O'Brien, played by Isles Gable. Now, I may mispronounce some of the names here. I apologise. You've got this man named Walter O'Brien, played by Isles Gable, and he has the fourth highest IQ ever recorded, 197. For point of reference, Einstein's was 160. And when he was 11 years old, he was arrested by the FBI after he tried to hack into NASA to get a set of NASA blueprints to put on his bedroom wall. Which, yeah, sounds like the kind of thing he would do. Anyway, years later, he's now a man played by Alex Gable, and he runs a team of geniuses who they tackle worldwide threats that only they can solve. Amongst his team, aside from Walter himself, is Tobias, or Toby Curtis, played by Eddie K. Thomas, who's a behaviourist, Happy Quinn, a mechanical prodigy, played by Jaden Wong, Sylvester Dodd, a mathematical genius, played by Ari Stidham, and assisting them, you've also got a Homeland Security agent named Cabe Gallo, played by former T-1000 Robert Patrick, and Paige Deneen, a former waitress, played by Catherine McPhee. She's the two of them. Cabe Gallo's his own kind of genius, but Paige is distinctly not a genius, but she does provide something to Scorpion in that these are all kind of socially awkward geniuses, but she kind of helps them to understand the world and how things generally work in proper society. And aside from a pretty decent paycheck, they also help her out with her son, Ralph Deneen, who is also a genius. I believe he's later revealed he has a 200 IQ. But yeah, I'll admit when I saw Ralph in the show, I briefly thought he was someone else. That I remember looking at him thinking, is that the kid from Once Upon a Time? Looking up, that's Jared S. Gilmore. But it turns out I was wrong in this case. The kid's actually played by Riley B. Smith. And once again, he does provide a nice kind of link to the show. I mean, the stuff they get into is mad. Apparently, this show is loosely based on real people, although while some of the events apparently did happen, a lot of them apparently have been heavily fictionalized. Like, while Scorpion itself did exist, some of the exploits that they get up in the show, they have been heavily kind of built upon to be fictionalized. Which I do think, but they get up to some mad stuff. Like, as I said, they tackle worldwide threats that only they know how to solve. Examples of which include having to uh, hardwire a plane when it turns out there's been a software update at most airports, except there's a bug in the software that they have to find a way to deal with while the planes are flying. They end up going to a casino where they have to find out why they're losing money, only to get caught up in a casino heist. The painting one, as I mentioned, where they know that painting is fake when they're brought into security. You've got weapons dealers trying to deal missiles while on a cruise, a group of church hikers who end up getting lost in the wilderness, a door a billionaire's daughter who ends up getting captured by a cartel, a border conflict between three countries that is made more complicated by an assassination attempt, and a man seemingly driven by grief who is trying to kill everyone in a science lab with sarin gas. Also, this show did also provide me with a little bit of an education because there were some elements of the show that I wasn't actually familiar with. Things that do exist in real life. For example, there's one episode where they have to transport a witness who's kind of trying to testify against a mob. And I was told by a family member while watching this that it's effectively RICO. They pointed me in the direction of the college admissions scandal, and then they kind of taught me more about RICO, and this is effectively a RICO case, which I'll admit I wasn't familiar with. And I'll admit, when I was watching the episode about the science lab, I briefly asked someone, just to check, is it made up for the show, or is sarin gas real? It's like, sarin gas is real and very deadly, which it did provide nice. While I was watching this show, I also did, before I get into the rest of this, one other character that I have briefly forgot to mention is Megan O'Brien, played by Camille Guetti, she's shown to be Walter's sister and is struggling with MS, to which most of his goal throughout the series is, well, he's got a variety of goals, but one of them is to try and find a cure for her MS and raise money for it, which I do think does provide a nice layer to the character. But anyway, as I was saying, as I was watching this, I began to think more and more, and eventually it began to remind me a bit of one of my favourite TV shows of all time, The Big Bang Theory. And I thought to myself, if The Big Bang Theory was less comedy-oriented and more an action series, this, I think, would be what the ultimate result would be. I mean, Walter and Sylvester, I think, both encompass pieces of Leonard and Sheldon into their basic character. I mean, Walter, I think, has a kind of emotional attachment that you would find with Sheldon, but also in the fight or flight arguments, he also has more of a fight personality, which I think Leonard may be more gifted towards. With Sylvester, he definitely has Sheldon's mathematics skills, but then is more kind of emotionally open-minded, similar to how Leonard would be. Toby and Happy, I felt, was kind of a nice mixture of Howard and Raj, with Happy having a more technical mind, while Raj being more emotionally orientated, but then Toby also being a bit more kind of comedy-minded, whereas Happy is a bit more kind of stern. And of course, Paige being the Penny, the person who's not science-minded, but definitely knows how to kind of help them understand the basic world. Now, out of all the episodes in Season 1, while I do think a lot of them were great and very interesting, I think my favourite would probably be Dominoes, in which kind of it's around Christmas time and Paige is trying to get the team to celebrate Christmas, even though a lot of them are like, I don't really want to, not much point. But things become tricky for them when a kid who Walter had previously been talking to on the beach about his kite gets stuck in a cave. Like, the cave is closing in, the cave is filling up with water, and they have to find a way to get him out. And a lot of the time, it's tense. Like, this kid is being held underwater without oxygen for like 2 minutes, and you're on the edge of your seat with it. And I do love this particular story. It's also what kind of pushed me a little bit more in deciding that Walter was possibly a little more Leonard than Sheldon, in that while Sheldon, I think, would probably go for flight in Fight or Flight, I felt Walter was possibly a little more fight, which did push me towards Leonard for him. And I'll admit, the show did apparently get rocky later on and did have an ending where I know not a lot of people were satisfied. But Season 1 of this show, it was really exciting. It got some great moments in there, it got some great storylines, and gave us a group of characters who I love to see. So, Scorpion Season 1, I would say definitely check it out if you get the chance. It's old by this point. I mean, this came out in 2014, and the first season was 2014 to 2015. So, okay, it's not the newest show. It's about 7 years old by this point. But I'd say go and check it out. It definitely does hold up very well. I mean, yeah, I definitely say check it out. So there you go. That's my quick little review of the first season of Scorpion. Definitely check it out. Anyway, until next time, see ya.